Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm so honored to share this space with you today. Our topic is one that lives in the deepest corners of the human heart, finding your soul family. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe. Each of us at some point in our lives feels the ache of wanting to belong. You may have felt it as a child, looking around your family and thinking, why do I feel so different? I know I did. You may have felt it as an adult, sitting among friends yet sensing an emptiness, as if no one truly understands you. That longing isn't weakness, it's the call of your soul reaching out for its eternal companions, your soul family. Before going further, a quick hello to my listeners in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm delighted to have you here. So, what exactly is a soul family? It is a group of souls who travel together across lifetimes. Think of them as your eternal tribe. Their roles may change. Sometimes they are your parents, sometimes your children, sometimes your lovers, sometimes your fiercest rivals, but the bond of recognition remains constant. Imagine standing under a vast night sky. The stars look scattered, but when you look closely, you see clusters, constellations, groups that always shine together. Your soul family is like one of those constellations. No matter where you were born or what path you take, they find their way back to you and you to them. What makes these bonds different from ordinary relationships is the feeling they stir. Meeting a member of your soul family feels like remembering, not discovering. It's an inner recognition that bypasses logic and lands directly in your heart. Why do these eternal bonds exist? Because life is not meant to be lived alone. Souls agree long before birth to accompany each other through the journey of growth. Sometimes they provide comfort and love. Sometimes they challenge us to break old patterns. Sometimes they arrive briefly, just long enough to deliver a message or spark a transformation. Your soul family is here to help you awaken. This is a real life story about Anita and the teacher. Anita shared with me a story of recognition that changed her life. In her early 20s, she enrolled in a philosophy course at her university. And on the very first day, the moment her professor began speaking, Anita felt a surge of emotion rise in her chest. Her words weren't just lessons, they were reminders. She said it was like he was unlocking something I already knew but had forgotten. Over the semester, Anita realized this man wasn't simply a teacher, he was a soul companion, someone who had guided her through lifetimes. Later, in meditation, she saw visions of herself as a student in a monastery centuries earlier, with the same soul, this time as a fellow monk, teaching her discipline and wisdom. The form had changed, but the role was familiar. Anita's professor wasn't just a mentor for one semester. He was part of her eternal soul family, fulfilling an agreement they had made long before. Here's another real life story. It's about Gabriel's unexpected brother. Gabriel from Brazil once spoke about starting a new job where he was introduced to dozens of coworkers, but one man stood out instantly. Within days, they were laughing like old friends, finishing each other's sentences and sharing meals as though they had known each other for decades. Curious about the uncanny connection, Gabriel sought out a spiritual reading. The intuitive told him that he and this man had been brothers in multiple lifetimes. The soul bond of loyalty, trust, and ease had carried over, slipping effortlessly into this lifetime. Their relationship wasn't about blood or family ties in the traditional sense. It was about soul recognition, the kind that bypasses time, distance, and logic. This is another real life story about a childhood recognition. Sometimes these bonds show themselves early. I once met a woman named Sophia who said that as a child, she met a girl in her neighborhood who instantly became her best friend. Within days, they were inseparable. Teachers would comment on how unusual their closeness was. They seemed more like sisters than friends. Decades later, during a spiritual workshop, Sophia discovered through regression that she and her friend had been siblings in ancient times, raising each other through hardship. That fierce loyalty carried forward. Their parents hadn't introduced them, destiny had. If you would take a moment, again, to like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. How to tell the difference. You might be wondering, how do you know if someone is part of your soul family or just a kindred spirit you click with? The answer lies in depth. A soul family connection feels profound. It doesn't fade easily. Even if you part ways for years, the bond reignites as though no time had passed. There's often a sense of destiny about it, as though the meeting were orchestrated. And sometimes the connection comes with a spiritual side effect. Dreams, synchronicities, or an inner voice whispering, pay attention, this person matters. I want you to take a slow breath with me. Think of someone who's felt like family, even if they aren't related to you. Perhaps it was a friend you met in school, a mentor, or someone you crossed paths with briefly but never forgot. How did you feel in their presence? Did your heart feel safe? Did your spirit feel lighter? Did you feel seen in a way that few others see you? Sit with that memory for a moment. Let your soul whisper the truth. This is one of mine. This is my soul family. Keep in mind that your soul family is not defined by bloodlines, but by soul lines. These are the beings who travel with you through time, weaving roles that help you grow love and remember who you are. Next, we'll dive into how to recognize them when they appear. What are the unmistakable signs? How do you tell the difference between a fleeting connection and an eternal one? We'll explore the signals, the feelings, and the synchronicities that let you know this person is part of my soul family. So, we've explored what a soul family is, but let's go deeper again into how you can recognize them. Have you ever met someone and felt like you were continuing a conversation you'd started long ago? Or perhaps you've experienced an overwhelming sense of safety, joy, or even discomfort around a person, even though you've only just met. These are some of the signs that you've encountered a member of your soul family. Let's explore these signs in depth, weaving in real stories and reflections so that you can begin to notice where your own soul family might already be showing up. The first sign and the most common is instant recognition. It's not about remembering their name or face. This is deeper. It's the sense that your soul remembers theirs. Sometimes it comes as a spark of joy. Other times it's a sense of calm, like slipping into a favorite chair. And sometimes it feels unsettling because of the soul memory brings up lessons or unfinished business. Here's a real life story called Nira and the Neighbor. Nira recalled moving into a new apartment and meeting her next door neighbor for the first time. She said, the moment he looked at me, I felt a jolt like my heart skipped. There was nothing romantic about it, but the familiarity was undeniable. Later, through meditation, she discovered that he had been her cousin in several past lives. Their closeness in this life made sense. They were part of the same soul circle, reunited as neighbors this time around. The second sign is effortless flow. When you meet a soul family member, connection is easy. You don't have to force conversation, and silence between you feels comfortable. This is a real life story about Matt and Clara. Matt once shared how he met Clara at a community event. Within minutes, they were speaking as though they'd known each other for years. He said it wasn't small talk, it was deep, real, and effortless. They discovered that their values, humor, and rhythms were strikingly aligned. Matt later said that it felt less like meeting someone new and more like remembering someone he had always known. This third sign is emotional depth. Soul family often stirs intense emotions, sometimes joy, sometimes pain. They bring out feelings in you that go beyond what the situation would normally warrant. This is a real life story about Suri and the boss. Suri struggled with a new boss who seemed to trigger her constantly. The tension was disproportionate to their actual interactions. Later in a regression session, she saw that a past life he had been her older brother, and their relationship had ended with betrayal. Their souls had chosen to meet again to heal those old wounds. Not every soul family connection is easy. Sometimes they arrive to challenge us because challenge is what brings growth. The fourth sign is shared purpose or mission. Soul family often shares your purpose or mission. You may find yourself drawn to work alongside them, build projects together, or walk similar spiritual paths. Here's a real life story called Ruth and Helena. Ruth met Helena during a humanitarian project. They'd never met before, yet instantly worked in harmony, anticipating each other's needs. Later, they laughed about how easy it was to collaborate, as if they'd been doing it for lifetimes. And in truth, they likely had. Their shared mission was a clue that they were members of the same soul family. The fifth sign, healing presence. Being around soul family feels healing. Even in silence, their presence soothes your nervous system and eases your heart. Daniel from Mexico described meeting Luis in a meditation group. He said, whenever I sat next to him, I felt calm. I couldn't explain it. It was like my spirit could finally breathe. Later, Daniel realized Luis was part of his soul family, here to remind him of the peace within. Beyond the obvious, there are more subtle signs, such as shared dreams before meeting the person, experiencing deja vu around them, synchronistic encounters, running into them repeatedly, and particularly over time. A sense that time disappears when you're together, feeling that even separations are temporary. When you reconnect, it's as if no time has passed. Let's take a moment here. Think of someone who feels significant in your life. Ask yourself, do I feel a sense of recognition when I look into their eyes? Is my connection with them effortless like breathing? Have they stirred deep emotions or lessons in me? Do we share a purpose or path? Does their presence bring me healing? If even one of these answers is yes, you may have found a member of your soul family. There are some powerful signs too. Remember that signs of soul family are generally not subtle, they're powerful and unmistakable. They show up as recognition, flow, emotional intensity, shared purpose, and healing. Sometimes these bonds last a lifetime, sometimes they last only a moment, but every encounter is meaningful and every connection is part of your eternal web. Now we're going to dive into why your soul family matters so much, the deeper purposes these connections serve, and how they help you heal, grow, and live your highest truth. So let's talk about this. Why does your soul family matter so much? Why do these connections feel so powerful, so life-changing? The answer is simple yet profound. Your soul family is here to help you heal, grow, and remember who you truly are. One of the primary purposes of soul family is healing. Across lifetimes, we carry wounds, traumas, betrayals, losses, and patterns. Your soul family is often the group of souls who agree to help you face and release these wounds. Sometimes that help looks like love, sometimes it looks like challenge. Either way, the purpose is always healing. Here's a real life story about Rashid's tough friend. Rashid had a best friend who seemed to trigger him constantly. Their friendship was strong, but arguments often flared and leaving Rashid feeling raw. And at first he thought maybe they weren't meant to be friends. But over time he realized his friend was reflecting his own insecurities back to him. Through this dynamic, Rashid confronted parts of himself he had been avoiding. That friend was part of his soul family, not to make life easy, but to help him heal wounds that had lingered for lifetimes. Another purpose of soul family is to expand your capacity for love. That's a big one. Love is the language of the soul, and soul family members often show up to remind you what unconditional love feels like. Here's a real life story about Maria and Elena. Maria from Argentina spoke about her grandmother, Elena. Their bond was extraordinary. Maria said her grandmother's love felt like sunshine. When Elena passed, Maria felt devastated. But in dreams, she continued to feel her grandmother's presence, reminding her that love never dies. Through that connection, Maria learned that soul family bonds transcend even death. Love continues to expand lifetime after lifetime. Your soul family also helps you remember your life's purpose. And those of you who are looking for that life's purpose, perk up here. They're often the ones who encourage your gifts, even when you doubt yourself. Here's a real life story about Isabella's book. Isabella always dreamed of writing, but never believed she could. Her closest friend, part of her soul family, encouraged her constantly, saying, "Your words are medicine." Eventually, Isabella found the courage to publish her first book. She said, "Without her, I would never have believed in myself." That's what soul family does. They hold up a mirror to your potential until you can see it clearly. Sometimes soul family members come to help balance karma. In past lives, you may have hurt one another, betrayed trust, or left something unresolved. Meeting again gives you both the chance to restore balance. This is a real life story about Suri and her boss. Suri, who I spoke about earlier, had a boss who constantly triggered her, and through regression, she discovered he had been her brother in a past life, and their relationship had ended painfully. Meeting again in this lifetime allowed them to face those dynamics and choose forgiveness. Balancing karma is not about punishment, it's about restoration. It's the soul's way of bringing harmony back to relationships. Not every member of your soul family is going to be easy to love. Boy, that's one we all need to hear. Some come into your life specifically to challenge you, to force you to grow. And it's been told to me a long time ago, back in 92 when I had my first spiritual teacher, I clearly remember her saying, "The people who are the biggest challenge in your life are definitely in your soul family." This is a real life story about John and the rival. John had a coworker who constantly competed with him. At first, it felt unbearable, but eventually John realized that the rivalry was pushing him to sharpen his skills and stand in his confidence. Through the challenge, John grew stronger, and later in meditation, he saw a past life where he and this coworker had been competitors then too, continuing this lesson across lifetimes. Of course, many soul family members come to support you in the most loving ways. They are the ones who cheer you on, who hold you when you fail, who remind you of your worth when you forget. Here's a real life story called Lily's Circle. Lily shared how she met three women at a spiritual retreat who instantly felt like sisters. They supported each other through heartbreaks, celebrated milestones, and encouraged each other's spiritual journeys. Lily said, "They reminded me of who I was when I had forgotten." That is the gift of soul family, unconditional support. When you see the purpose of your soul family clearly, something shifts. Relationships no longer feel random. Even the painful ones make sense. Every soul who enters your life is part of the grand design, offering love, challenge, or growth. This awareness can bring peace because instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" And in that shift, you step into empowerment. Your soul family is here with purpose. They are the mirrors, the healers, the challengers, and the encouragers. Their presence is never accidental. Each connection, whether joyful or painful, is an invitation to grow into more love, more wisdom, and more authenticity. Next, we'll talk about how to call in your soul family, what you can do if you haven't met many members yet, or if you're longing for those connections to arrive. We'll explore how intention, openness, and trust can bring your eternal tribe into your life. So, what if you're listening right now and thinking, "I don't think I've met my soul family yet," or "I feel so alone. How do I find them?" First, let me reassure you, your soul family does exist and you will find them. The longing you feel is proof that they are real. That longing is like a magnet. It's your soul's way of calling them into your life. So let's talk about how you can invite your soul family to show up and how to recognize them when they do. The first step in calling in your soul family is intention. Set a clear intention that you are ready to meet them. You can do this as simply as speaking the words aloud. I call in my soul family to join me in this lifetime. I am ready to meet them, to learn with them, and to love with them. Put it in your own words. As I always say, it's not about saying what I say, it's saying something with that message in your words. When you state this intention with sincerity, the universe listens. You begin to open energetic pathways that draw your soul family toward you. Your soul family often appears in places where your heart feels alive. Maybe it's a yoga class, a book club, a spiritual retreat, a music festival, or even an online community. The important thing is to follow where your heart feels drawn. If you feel a sudden nudge to try something new or go somewhere unexpected, pay attention. Those nudges are often how your higher self and your angels lead you where your soul family is waiting. This is a real life story about Daniel's oasis. Daniel had always felt like an outsider. No matter where he lived, he felt misunderstood. Finally, after years of searching, he decided to make a change and move to a new city. He followed his intuition and joined a local art collective. There he met people who instantly felt like home. He said it was like I'd been wandering in a desert and suddenly I found my oasis. These friends became his soul family, celebrating his creativity and supporting him in ways he had always longed for. Daniel's story reminds us that sometimes a change of environment or community is what opens the door to meeting your soul family. And it's important to remember that soul family connections often appear at the right time, not necessarily when we want them, but when we're ready for them. If you've been longing for your soul family and haven't found them yet, trust that your path is preparing you. Sometimes you need to grow, heal, or release old patterns before you're truly open to the depth of those connections. Think of it like gardening. You plant seeds, but they don't bloom overnight. They need time, nourishment, and the right conditions. In the same way, your soul family may be waiting for the right season to enter your life. Here are some practical steps you can take for calling in your soul family. Journal your intention. Write something like, I am ready to meet my soul family. Here is what I hope to learn and share with them. Follow synchronicities. Notice when you keep being nudged toward a place, event, or group. Be open. Soul family may not always look how you expect. They could be younger, older, or from a completely different background. And lastly, stay patient. Trust that the right souls are making their way to you. The reality is that you're never truly alone. Even if you haven't met them yet, your soul family is out there. They are searching for you just as you are searching for them. And with intention, openness, and trust, the paths will eventually cross. Now you're going to learn how to live with your soul family once you've found them, how to honor those bonds, nurture them, and recognize that sometimes love also means release. So once you found your soul family, how do you live with them? It's one thing to recognize these eternal bonds. It's another to nurture them, honor them, and grow together in this lifetime. Soul family relationships are sacred. They are treasures beyond measure. They deserve our care, our gratitude, and our commitment to live them fully. The first step is cherishing them. When you've met a member of your soul family, recognize what a gift that is. Not everyone meets many of their soul family members in a single lifetime, so every connection is precious. Take time to appreciate them. Tell them what they mean to you. Celebrate the ordinary moments together. A simple meal, a walk in the park, or a long conversation can carry the weight of lifetimes. Here's a real life story to underscore this called June's gratitude practice. June began writing gratitude letters to her soul family members. Some she gave, others she kept in her journal. She wrote about how they made her feel seen, how they supported her, how they reminded her of her own light. June said, even when life gets busy, these letters remind me that soul family is sacred. Another way to live with your soul family is to support each other's growth. These connections aren't meant to keep you comfortable forever. They're meant to help you become your highest self. Support can look like encouragement, honest feedback, or simply showing up when they need you. And sometimes it looks like challenging them to grow just as they challenge you. Here's a real life story about Andre and Camilla. Andre and Camilla were childhood friends and realized they were part of the same soul family when they noticed how often their lives mirrored one another. When Andre hesitated to start his dream business, Camilla pushed him gently but firmly, reminding him of his gifts. Later, when Camilla doubted herself, Andre was the one encouraging her to keep going. Together, they lifted each other higher than either could have gone alone. Even with soul family, or perhaps especially with them, boundaries are essential. Loving someone does not mean losing yourself. Even with soul families, healthy boundaries allow the relationships to thrive without becoming entangled or draining. Here's a real life story about Jonah's gentle release. Jonah from Canada had a close soul family friend, and over time their paths began to diverge. Instead of clinging to the connection or feeling abandoned, Jonah chose to honor it by letting go. He said, I realized our agreement in this lifetime had run its course. Releasing her with love was the most respectful thing I could do. Sometimes honoring soul family means recognizing that their role in this lifetime is complete. Love continues even across distance. Soul family connections thrive on celebration. These are the people who will cheer your successes as if they were their own. They will cry with you when you suffer and laugh with you when you shine. Make time to celebrate milestones, big and small. A soul family dinner, a ritual of gratitude, or even a shared moment of silence can strengthen this bond. Here's a real life story about Deirdre's Circle of Joy. Deirdre from Ireland created a tradition with her soul sisters. Every year they gathered on the same weekend to reflect on their journeys, share gratitude, and set intentions for the year ahead. These gatherings became a sacred rhythm in their lives, strengthening their bond and reminding them of the eternity of their connection. Living with your soul family also means staying aware of the sacredness of these bonds. It's easy to get caught up in daily life and forget the bigger picture. But when you pause, breathe, and remember that these people are your eternal companions, everything shifts. Suddenly, small annoyances fade and gratitude takes their place. Conflicts become opportunities for growth. Love becomes the guiding thread. Your soul family is your eternal tribe. They are the ones who see you, support you, challenge you, and love you across lifetimes. Living with them in this life means cherishing their presence, supporting their growth, respecting boundaries, and celebrating the bond you share. Even if not all members are with you right now, trust that the circle exists beyond time and space. You are never alone. You are always surrounded by love. As we close this journey together, place your hand on your heart and whisper, I walk with my soul family, and together we rise. Thank you for joining me in the angel room. May you find your soul family, honor them, and walk together in love throughout this lifetime and beyond. Join me next week when the topic is manifestation blockers. What's standing in your way? In the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.